Hello. If in the spring of 2009 President Obama had been assassinated by right-wing extremists, what would this country have done? How would they have handled that? In the last 2 years, we've seen riots in Ferguson, Missouri and Baltimore, Maryland, as Michael Brown and Freddie Gray died at the hands of police. These riots and destruction of buildings and vehicles went on for several weeks in both cases. You take a assassination of a political figure and that's multiplied by hundreds. We need to find common ground, as the rhetoric and violence towards President Trump and the Republican Party have done nothing but increase over the last 4 or 5 months. We need to learn to respect each other. I am just one caring American looking for a path to wisdom and understanding, a path that allows both sides of the equation to come together and look for solutions. Respect opposing views and work to find common ground to reunify our country. First, let's discuss recent disrespectful and terrifying events, and then we'll explore the reasons for those events, and lastly we'll explain how both sides feel disrespected and what we can do to resolve that. 3 recent events seem to be escalating us towards a more violent future. The first is a photo that was printed many places, but in the New York Post on May 30, Kathy Griffin posted a picture of her and a severed head of Donald Trump for all the world to see. She has since been fired and lost much because of that. Second, on June 12, the Washington Post discussed a play in New York City that shows a Julius Caesar type assassination of Donald Trump. And lastly, just last week, the Washington Post reports that a gunman sought out Republican politicians and fired 50 rounds into a group that was practicing for a ball game. The gunman hit 5 of those people, and one of them, the House Majority Whip, Steve Scalise, is still in the hospital after getting hit in the hip. A large portion of our society no longer wants to listen to others' point of view. We only want to hear what we believe and reject all else. This is an avoidance of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is where we are presented with 2 differing, strongly held points of view and rejecting the other because we believe the one so strongly. This cognitive dissonance creates a conflict within us, and we find that we just don't want to deal with, so we avoid it. The lack of empathy and objectivity towards others is a result from many factors, too numerous to list in this forum. To a large degree, though, this lack of empathy results from a me-first philosophy. According to Patrick Fagan of the Heritage Foundation, a me-first philosophy stems from a lack of intimacy growing up. A breakdown in the family structure plays a large part in that. And that breakdown is regardless of all outside factors. It affects everybody. Lack of empathy and respect lead to a dehumanizing violence. Both sides feel disrespected and ignored, because what matters most to them is of lesser importance to the other side of the political spectrum. Lack of empathy on both sides leads to feelings of disrespect, and those feelings of disrespect lead to an escalation in violence. First, we talked about the 3 events just recently, in the last 6 weeks. The New York City play, the posting of the severed Trump head, and the gunman shooting 50 politicians. Secondly, we explored a lack of empathy and respect, cognitive dissonance leading to ignoring of others' viewpoints and considering them invalid. And lastly, I explained how this lack of respect leads to violence. Respect opposing views and work to find common ground to reunify our country. Thinking back to my childhood and my weekly Sunday school sessions, I am reminded of the Tower of Babel. I always wondered how it was that a functioning society suddenly lost the ability to communicate with their fellow citizens. To some extent, we are seeing a current-day Tower of Babel happening in our news and our society on a daily basis. We need to find our common language again and that begins with respect. What you can do is not turn away when you hear something outrageous from the other side. Take the time to engage and dialogue with them. Only through commonality can we progress. Thank you for your time and attention.